Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So today's video is a continuation of how we acquire gear in the Division 2 and how we do acquire exotics and all of that. Now in my last video, I was talking about how I got all my exotics, and if by now you don't know how to get all the exotics, I have said this before, there are many places where you can get them, and there are many videos on YouTube that actually detail how you get each specific exotic, especially the kinds that you can build and then the ones that do drop. Now, in the ones that do drop, changes have also been made on how they drop and where they actually drop from, if you understand exactly what I mean. Like the LMG, the Pestilence, no longer only drops in the Dark Zone. A lot of people have been able to get it from places like the Raid and other sources within the open world in PvE. So you have to stay up to date as to what the updated drop is. And a lot of the content creators that, used to make the early videos, many of us have not come around to making these so-called new update videos in terms of where things are dropping. So I think the best way to go is just to ask about it in the comment section. Usually you'll get a response from somebody in the community. Now, the functionality that I wanted to speak about, which is, by the way, the functionality that's going to be, in my opinion, very beneficial for community improvement and for allowing for much more in-depth community engagement, is a type of mailbox functionality. Now, this functionality, I don't know if I've seen this before in any other game like Destiny or Borderlands. Like, my memory is a little hazy around it, so I can't say for sure. So I don't think it's a new thing nonetheless. I think many MMO style RPG games have this, where if you loot something, you can just mail it to a friend of yours, regardless of whether they're in your party, regardless of whether they're online or offline. And when they log into their game, they get that item delivered to them. The reason I say this is because this will reduce a lot of waste, in my opinion, and this will, it will encourage people to still play the game in terms of helping their friends find it. Now, here's the reality. I know you may say, well, it increases play count, it increases play time and all of that. But what if you have a situation where two friends are, gunning to get a particular weapon? One of them gets the weapon, and then another day, he's playing online while the other one that's, looking for the weapon is not online with them. What if it was possible that if the guy still went ahead and got a second, item of similar kind, they can just mail it to their buddy, and when their buddy logs on, guess what? They see that item in their mailbox from whoever it is that sent it to them. It will, number one, be a pleasant surprise. Number two, it will give people a lot of incentive playing the game, knowing that for them to fall behind, is something that will be largely difficult. And if they have people in their community, they can depend on other people to just be on the lookout for things for them that they might be searching for incessantly. Because there are items in this game that people have been searching for, and it would be nice if people who get 6 of them, I have the guy who gave me my Eagle Bearer got like 4 Eagle Bearers, and there was a day he was with no one who was looking for an Eagle Bearer. Everyone in the group had an Eagle Bearer. I was looking for one back then, and he had to go ahead and crush it. So if you think about this, exotics are already, in some cases, for some people, very difficult to drop, and then you now have, that barrier of time and all that, and people are willing to farm and play as much as they can to get these items. But what if that was a functionality that just kind of came into play, and you can do that for somebody? Example is, maybe somebody likes to play a specific piece of content, and I know, many people might say, well, what does that do to the playtime? That would not encourage the person to play the game. I highly doubt it. If the other person is capable of playing while the other person is not online to play anyways, well, then somebody can just, somebody already covers that playtime, so-called playtime, and with that playtime already covered, then the other person who may be looking for an item and maybe falling behind is not so easily discouraged, because there are more things to still farm for. It's not the end of, the farming season. I mean, there are a lot of new players that are actually in the Division, 2 right now, and there are a lot of things that they're looking for. Today, we did a farm run with somebody who just, mentioned that they were trying to get the Nemesis on PC, and luckily, we played a few missions, and I went to my, lucky character. I have a character that stuff drops from, and so I swapped to that character. Everyone in Division is superstitious, by the way. If you didn't know this, we all have our superstitions, and for me, this, my main character number 1, is the one that's usually lucky. I think so, because I've gotten everything with that character so far. Now, in some cases with some other characters, I've gotten some stuff, but this one, he tends to bag everything that I'm looking for. So I swapped to the character character. We played Jefferson Trade Center. It wasn't dropping, but luckily for us, Grand Washington Hotel, was actually a mission to, at the time of the targeted loot, was dropping rifles. So the boss there dropped it for me and we were able to hand it to him. Now, thankfully for him, that was a possibility. We also have other people looking for Eagle Bearers. They have friends, they have clanmates, but also time differences and all of that. Now, I'm making this video not because I want everything handed to me. I feel like people always first assume that. But one of the things you have to understand is the RNG in this game is tipped in a very weird and sometimes unfavorable way. Yes, a lot of people will love this feature because, you know, people who get the Eagle Bearer, you know, will at least, you know, will just be able to, you know, quickly mail them an Eagle Bearer. But then you have to consider the people who've played the raid 50 times and have not gotten an Eagle Bearer. I saw a comment today to that effect. 50 plus raids, no Eagle Bearer. At this point, what would you say the issue is? At this point, what would you say? Is it the effort that they're not putting in? Because I know I only did about 17 and somebody eventually dropped it for me. And only God knows if my buddy Jim didn't drop it for me, how much more raids I would have had to do. And the person who dropped it for me, the very first time he beat Boomer, or I think it was Boomer, or was the guys at the airstrip, they dropped the Eagle Bearer for him. So he got the Eagle Bearer before he even beat the raid. And for weeks, he could not beat that raid until we were able to find teams where he then eventually started beating the raid. Another friend of mine, the very first time he completed the raid, he opened that chest, and guess what? The Eagle Bearer was there for him. And many of us at the same time could not get that weapon, and we kept on farming and searching before finally they were able to get multiple. And even in that time I was farming, there were other friends of mine that got extra Eagle Bearers and I was not online, and they were like, man, I wish you were here today, man. And so I feel like this would just help allow for people to be able to just, you know, farm, especially when they're done farming for all the good stuff. Because you also have to think about this. The people who, you know, are wanting to play the game, they look and say, well, I've gotten everything, you know, what's the point for me to play right now? I'm sitting here, I'm offline. And what if they think about their friends? What do they think about people in their clans? What do they think about people in their Discord groups and say, you know, this buddy of mine doesn't have this item. I wonder if I could jump in for a little bit. I see that the target eluded and somewhere that I actually want to run, maybe the Dark Zone. I want to run the Dark Zone because there's something I want to get some DZ credits. And while they're at it, they're able to extract something that the person wants, and they choose to deliver that. I think at this point in the game, fine. I don't know if what we're doing with year 2 and year 3. I think this might set the tone and the pace for a huge future community. In fact, for those who have left the game a long time ago, whose friends are probably still messaging saying, hey, yo, when are you going to come back to the game? Guess what? This will probably incentivize them to come to the game when they realize that their buddies might be looking out for them and saying, hey, I got this item, here you go. Because these are people who've run together for a long time. These are people who, you know, their friends have dropped items for them. So it's not going to be a hard thing for them to be able to pay that forward, if you get what I mean. So this is pretty much my video. I feel like this functionality has many, many benefits that I'm not even able to cover within the under 10-minute scope that I want this video to actually linger for. So I guess you can respond in the comment section why you think this is a good idea, why you don't think is a good idea. But I think for the sake of the community, I think for the sake of drawing old players and helping them catch up easily, thereby increasing the player base, I think this is one of the major reasons this might need to be put as something in the game. Now, there could be limitations to actually make it, you know, something that people don't just abuse, if you understand what I mean. Maybe they have to log in, you know, within a specific period of time in order to get the mail, or the mail expires. That could also be a, you know, an artificial limitation or something. But at the same time, I think there is an opportunity here to start to improve and, you know, develop the community relationship using this method. All right, I'll get out of your hair. Thank you very much for your time and audience. And oh, by the way, we hit 1,000 subs on the Video Game Fight School channel. It was never going to be possible if you guys did not jump in there, because I think the YouTube algorithm just did not want that channel to actually move just yet. Been working on that channel since December of 2018, having over 300 plus videos. I mean, I'm not saying all the videos are great, but at least, you know, come on. Even if a third of those videos were good, it just seemed like YouTube did not have any time for me at that point. But you guys, you know, you made the push. And so we're in review for monetization. I'll let you guys know how that process goes. It'll be nice to be gaining some extra change from content that I enjoy doing and from a community that I enjoy serving. So let me get out of here, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.